She slipped warm food into her apron with trembling hands, knowing one wrong move could cost her the only job keeping her alive. She wasn't stealing for herself. She was stealing for children the world had forgotten. Children who slept hungry inside a burned building no one cared to rebuild. What she didn't know was that the billionaire owner was watching her on the security cameras, his face hard with anger as he decided to follow her that night and fire her on the spot. But when he followed her into the shadows of the city and saw where the food was really going, the truth he discovered didn't just change her fate, it reopened a burn in his past he had tried to bury forever.
The night the food disappeared, no one noticed the shaking hands that packed it or the quiet tears that fell onto the stainless steel counter. The city outside glittered with wealth and indifference, but inside the back kitchen of a luxury restaurant, a young waitress was making a choice that could ruin her life. She folded warm bread into her apron, wrapped leftover soup in thin containers, and slipped fruit into a cloth bag she always carried. Her heart pounded, not with greed, but with fear and love, because she knew that somewhere beyond the neon lights, children were waiting for her. Hungry children, forgotten children, children who believed she was the only miracle they had left. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and humanity, take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel. Stories like this exist because people like you still believe that compassion matters. Her name was Alina, and every step she took out of that kitchen felt heavier than the last. She had grown up knowing hunger so well that it felt like a permanent shadow. Orphaned young, she had learned early that the world rarely rescued anyone. So when she finally escaped the foster system and found work as a waitress, she made herself a promise. If she ever had even a little extra, she would share it with those who had nothing. That promise led her every night to a burned-out building on the edge of the city, where fire had once taken lives, homes, and hope. Now it sheltered orphans who slipped through the cracks of paperwork and charity. What Alina did not know was that someone had been watching. The restaurant's owner, a billionaire named Victor Hale, was not the kind of man who missed details. His fortune was built on discipline, precision, and control. After surviving a devastating fire years earlier that left scars across his back and soul, he trusted rules more than people. The restaurant was his crown jewel, and theft, no matter how small, was something he never tolerated. Security footage revealed the truth clearly. Night after night, the same waitress packing food and leaving with it. Victor watched the footage in silence, his jaw tight, his mind already reaching a conclusion. To him, it was simple. Betrayal was betrayal. The reason did not matter. He decided he would not send guards or managers. He would follow her himself, fire her personally, and make an example that mercy was weakness. That night, he waited in his car, watching Alina leave the restaurant with her worn bag and tired posture. She did not walk like someone who had stolen for pleasure. She walked like someone carrying the weight of too many lives. Still, Victor followed, his luxury car creeping through streets that grew darker and poorer with every turn. The glittering city faded, replaced by broken sidewalks, shuttered shops, and forgotten corners where hope rarely visited. Alina finally stopped at the burned building. Victor watched her disappear inside, expecting to see a quick handoff or black market exchange. Instead, what unfolded cracked something deep inside him. Through broken windows, he saw small figures gather around her. Children with thin arms, hollow eyes, and faces too old for their age. He saw her kneel, unpack the food carefully, dividing it evenly, making sure no child was left out. He saw her wipe faces, straighten torn clothes, and sit among them like she belonged there. Victor felt something twist painfully beneath his scars. The smell of smoke from the past rushed back into his memory, the fire that had changed him forever. The night he survived while others did not. The night he lost his ability to believe in simple goodness. As he watched Alina feed those children, the anger he carried began to collide with something far more dangerous: guilt. He did not confront her that night. He drove away in silence, his hands gripping the steering wheel, his chest burning in a way no fire ever had. He told himself this changed nothing. Theft was theft. Yet sleep did not come easily. Images of the children followed him into the dark, along with the memory of flames and screams he had buried under wealth and power. The next morning, Victor ordered a full investigation into the building. What he found disturbed him deeply. The children were unofficial orphans, undocumented, invisible to the system. No funding, no protection, no future. And somehow, this young waitress had become their lifeline. By the time evening came, Victor returned to the restaurant with a decision he told himself was final. Alina would be fired. Rules would be enforced. But beneath that decision, something fragile and unfamiliar was beginning to stir, something he had not allowed himself to feel since the fire that left his body scarred and his heart hardened.
Alina sensed the shift before she saw it. The atmosphere in the restaurant felt heavier that night, like a storm gathering indoors. When Victor entered, his presence silenced the room. She recognized him immediately. Everyone did. The billionaire owner rarely visited, and when he did, consequences followed. Her hands trembled as she worked, the weight of her secret pressing against her chest. Victor watched her closely. He noticed how she moved carefully, how she checked on coworkers, how she avoided waste, how she saved what others ignored. These details mattered now. When he finally called her aside, the world seemed to slow. Alina knew this moment had come. She did not beg. She did not lie. She accepted her fate with the same quiet strength she carried every night to those children. What Victor expected was fear. What he found was dignity. As she explained, without excuses, why she took the food, her voice steady despite the risk, something inside him broke open. She spoke of hunger like an old enemy, of children who cried themselves to sleep, of promises made to kids who believed she would not abandon them. She did not ask for forgiveness. She only asked that the children not suffer because of her actions. Victor felt the burn on his back ache beneath his suit. Memories flooded him again. The orphanage he once lived in before the fire, the nights he went hungry, the moment a stranger had saved him from flames and vanished forever. He realized then that Alina was doing for those children what no one had done for him, except once, long ago. Instead of firing her, Victor made a choice that shocked everyone, including himself. He suspended her temporarily, not as punishment, but as protection. He ordered the restaurant to begin a formal food donation program that same week, but that was only the beginning. Victor visited the burned building himself. This time he walked inside. The children froze at the sight of his expensive suit and guarded expression. But as he looked around, the devastation mirrored his own past too closely to ignore. He saw himself in those broken walls. He saw his scars reflected in their eyes. Over the following weeks, Victor funded repairs, hired caregivers, and registered the children legally. He created a foundation in silence, without press, without announcements. For the first time in years, he used his wealth not as armor, but as a bridge. Alina returned to work, overwhelmed and unsure of what she had started. She watched as food was packed openly now, labeled for donation, delivered by vans bearing Victor's name. She watched children laugh in clean rooms, sleep in real beds, and attend school. And she watched Victor change. The billionaire who once ruled through fear now lingered, listened, and learned. He spent time with the children, awkward at first, then slowly more present. The scars on his back remained, but the burn inside him softened.
He finally understood something the fire had tried to teach him. Survival meant nothing without purpose. Yet healing is never simple. Old enemies of Victor's empire began to surface. Accusations, threats, attempts to sabotage the foundation. And through it all, Alina stood firm, reminding him through her actions that kindness always came with a cost, but never without meaning. As the city began to whisper about the mysterious changes, Victor faced a final test. Would he protect his reputation or protect what truly mattered?
The storm came quietly, disguised as generosity. Arrival exposed Victor's past, the fire, the settlements, the scars he hid beneath tailored suits. Media scrutiny followed, twisting the narrative, questioning motives, painting kindness as strategy. Donations slowed, investors panicked. Victor stood at a crossroads he had avoided his entire life. Alina watched him struggle, recognizing the same fear she once carried when stealing food in the dark. Fear of losing everything by doing the right thing. She did not advise him with words, she reminded him with action. Night after night, she returned to the children, showing him that when you choose love, you choose it fully, regardless of outcome. Victor made his decision publicly. He told his story. He revealed the fire, the pain, the scars, and the truth. That kindness saved him once, and he would spend the rest of his life passing it forward. The backlash faded. Support returned stronger than before. The foundation grew beyond the city. Other restaurants joined. Other billionaires followed. The burned building became a symbol of rebirth. The children grew healthier, brighter, louder. Alina was offered management roles, money, comfort. She accepted only what she needed, staying close to the ground, close to the reason she started. Years later, Victor stood watching a graduation ceremony held in the same place that once held ashes and hunger. He felt peace, something no amount of money had ever purchased. He understood now that the greatest wealth was not protected behind rules, but shared through courage. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment now to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps stories of humanity reach those who need them most. And before you leave, comment one word that represents what you felt while listening to this story. Kindness, hope, healing, or love. Because somewhere, someone is making a difficult choice in the dark, hoping it will matter. And stories like this remind us that it always does.